Have you seen Matthew Morrison's TikTok though, where he does his dance and then he goes like down on one knee and his balls come out the bottom of his shorts?
Hey everyone,
and welcome to the Queerie.
We have a very exciting guest here today. We're very excited to welcome Beverly Kills.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited
to chat with you.
So excited.
I'm excited to be here. I heard like a rumor or a skerrick of information that Lulu the Muns came on here and made some horrible comments. So I will be like putting like bits of Lulu the Muns slander throughout the podcast.
I think that's fair. I think that's
Are you
fair.
ready, Lulu?
Watch out.
So, as per usual, a few questions. So what are your pronouns and what names do you go by and when?
Everyone calls me Bev or Beverly. I've sort of given up on trying to have like a when I've got the wig on, I'm this, and when I've got the wig off, I'm that. For some people, it works really well. For me, I've just decided that like I'm just sort of always Bev, but it depends on like what level the volume's at. So everyone just calls me Bev. But out of drag, my pronouns are he, him, and in drag, my pronouns are she, her.
So, question with your drag name. So Beverly Kills. So it alludes to like killing people. So how many people have you murdered?
Before or after tonight?
Before.
Before. 0. And after tonight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
So how did you choose your drag name?
Well, I sort of landed on Beverly Kills because it is a play on the word. It's not a word, 2 words. Beverly Hills.
Do you know how long it took me to realize that?
Yeah, I've had it.
Embarrassingly
every now
long.
and then, and it will never be at a normal time. It's always like the strangest times at like 2 a.m. on a Wednesday. Someone just messages me and goes, I woke up in hot sweats and realized that your name was a pun. And I'm like, Beverly Hills is a place in Hollywood, Los Angeles.
I love it.
Congratulations for figuring it out.
Yeah, and I'm a night owl, so I'll always see the message. I'm like, what the? I'm like, it took you that long? And I'm like, anyway. So my first drag name was Ida Kills. Ida was the name of my grandmother, and Kills was from the singer Natalia Kills. Natalia Kills was the singer on the X Factor, and she was like, you're an embarrassment. You look like my husband. Do you remember her?
No.
Oh my God.
No,
there
I
is
don't. Like Australian X Factor or like UK or something?
New Zealand X Factor.
Okay, how will I know?
New Zealand X Factor. So Natalia Kills, who I just loved her music. I loved the name, and I was like, well, she's been cancelled, so I will take her name because she's not using it.
I love
and I'll put my grandmother's name Ida. That sounds good. And then over COVID, I realized that the name wasn't hitting in the same way that I wanted it to. And I'm like, look, if we have a worldwide pandemic, now is the time to like shake things up. I was talking to my housemate at the time, Asphyxia, who's another great drag queen, about what I would name like my drag child. I'm like, probably Beverly Kills. I'm like, well, that's a better name than Ida Kills. And they're like, yeah, it
rolls
is.
off the tongue.
Yeah, we were on our like once a week grocery shop run when it was like early days of COVID. Remember when like going to the grocery shop was like the most terrifying?
Mine was Zarafas. I always went to Zarafas every morning with my roommates, and it was like our venture.
And it was the most terrifying thing you could do. And you're like, holy fucking shit,
Like
we are going crazy.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the shops and we would talk about that. And then I was like, wait, I need to change my name. And then once I started being able to perform again, I just was like, just debuted myself as Beverly Kills. And it went really well. But every now and then someone will be like, wasn't your name Ida? And I'm like, we don't talk about that.
Don't talk about it. It's in the past.
Yeah, I kind of just have to, at first I wanted to be like, I just pretend like she didn't exist. And I'm like, I need to embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because how long were you doing it before, like with the Ida Kills name?
A year?
Yeah.
But now I've been Beverly for like 2 years.
Yeah. So enough time, I guess. You don't want to erase the past, but you just be like, this is my new name.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I don't hide from the past. I just sort of look at it every 4 to 6 weeks and go.
Because I never knew you as Ida. I have only ever seen you perform as Bev.
Thank God.
Good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Lola the Muns would say, my makeup has since improved, so I'm glad that that's what you've seen as well.
So you said that the first time you did drag was a year before COVID, so 2019.
Yes.
Yes. So how did you first get into it? What was the steps?
I watched a TV show called RuPaul's Drag Race, and as most drag queens in 2022, or at least this sort of, I'm going to call it this era of drag, that's how most drag queens start. There's no like natural like start in the clubs and then meet some drag queens and then you become friends with them. Then you probably end up sleeping with one of them. Then you put on one of their costumes the morning after. That's how most drag queens would start.
Nice.
But I watched the show and I really connected with Evie Oddly. And I was like, she's really cool. Like she's like fierce and she's grungy and she's like not like the other girls. And I kind of related to that. And I was like, cool, like I'll try this. And, you know, I spent a good few months in my bedroom just like trying different makeup products. And this is a person, as a boy, I was never introduced to makeup in my life. So I would just buy like whatever looked colorful enough. And I'm like, this is great. The eyeshadow goes on the lip. This is fabulous. It doesn't go on the lips.
It's really not meant
and
to.
it looks bad. And then I was like, fuck it. Like, I have too much fun doing this. People go out and drag. I've seen people do drag shows, and I want to do it. So I just did. My first night in drag was at an event. It's no longer in Brisbane anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but it's still in Melbourne and Sydney, called Honcho Disco. It's like a very, very militantly queer disco night of like music, and I wouldn't even say drag, but I'd call it like queer performance art. And it needs to be like aggressively queer. Otherwise there's no place for it.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's a safe space to be angry and queer and disgusting and fabulous. And I was like, if I'm going to be a first time drag queen, this is the place for me. And I went and had the best time ever.
Awesome.
And then I just sort of kept going, did some competitions, won some competitions, lost some competitions in a very tragic style. And now here I am.
There we go. So
I love.
What was the reaction when you first started doing drag from people where like that and like the public?
I kind of kept it secret from the people that I knew at first, to be honest, because I think Freya had a really good point when she was on the podcast. You come out to your family one time, and then if you're a drag queen, you might need to come out to your family 2 or 3 times. And it was the same for me. Like, my parents knew I was gay. They were chill with it. Took them a while to sort of understand it. They were always accepting, which I'm really grateful for. Took them a while to understand it though. And then with the drag, I'm like, oh, they're really not going to understand this one. So I kept it a secret for as long as I could.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to make sure that they embrace it, because I have a good relationship with my parents. I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that they were understanding and accepting, and then everyone else's opinions didn't really matter to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that.
So they're
I love
very
that.
accepting.
They're amazing. They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They live far enough away that they don't get to see me very often.
Yeah.
So if I've got a really, really cool, important show where they can sit
Lie
down.
Yeah.
They're there for
Yeah.
it. So if I've got a theatre show, I'm like, you have to come to this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
And they come. They have the best time ever. They
That's
get
great.
really drunk. They cheer like psychopaths.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Like
Yeah.
Mum and Dad.
Yeah, I love Mum and Dad.
So your shows tend to include some kind of something, a whip, a fire, a moment, if you will. What made you decide to include that into your performance style, I suppose?
Gosh, I kind of feel like Beverly Kills. The name suggests that that's coming anyway.
Yeah.
So it's good because a lot of people are like, oh, that's really cool. But it's like, they're not shocked by the fact that it's there. It kind of makes sense. I don't know.
Like Elle de Flower coming out with a whip.
Yeah, I would be concerned if that happened. And I would also
I wanna
be
see it.
I'd be equally concerned if I came out in a beautiful Victorian piece and what the fuck is happening? Multiverse of madness, but it's gay. Yeah. I really made a lot of friends and connections and love with the burlesque community.
Yeah, nice.
Because I might be gay, but I do love titty. And then I would see some more alternative sides of burlesque, and I was like, oh, there's not a lot of drag queens doing this sort of stuff. And I'm like I'll give it a crack.
Yeah.
A literal crack.
Yeah, literal crack. Yeah. And I was like,
love-
well, why not? I really, really enjoy being able to bring that element of the drag show that people are not expecting.
Yeah.
The good thing about Drag Race is that, everyone sort of sees and understands what a drag queen is. At least I would say a younger generation or a more liberal generation might understand what a drag queen is, but we still have the opportunity to turn that definition on its head. And I'm not saying at all I'm changing the face of drag, because I'll leave that to the amazing people I don't know, I think Asphyxia is a really great example of someone who's absolutely changing drag. But
I think you definitely
if I can
are.
sort of steer the wheel a couple degrees to the left, then I'm let's
That's how
go
change
that
happens.
way.
I think it's not one person or 2 people who are doing so much. It's everyone joining together to make those little mini community.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think when I started, because I was so inspired by people I saw on TV Evie Oddly, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to change the face of drag. And I kind of had this quite selfish and narcissistic mindset of my own drag, being I'm changing the face of drag and no one does drag like me. And I'm like, no one does drag like you because it looks dreadful.
You got eyeshadow on your lips.
And yeah, it was the eyeshadow on the lips for me. And then I was like, well, no, that's a really narcissistic way to look at it. Drag is a community sport, not a solo sport. And then I was like, well, instead of being the change, I'll just be part of the change. I'll just be there's people you see on the Gold Coast, and they have the beer buses, and they all cycle and they push the bus.
No, I've never seen that.
What?
No, I'm trying to explain it. It's real. So
I
people,
swear it's real.
have you seen those things? And they're like a little mini bus, and there's like 10 people sitting on the outside of the bus, and they're all pedaling, and it
I've
pushes the bus along.
literally never
In
seen
the
this in my
Gold
life.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, I really want to see that.
But to me, that's drag
I
because
I
everyone's
understand.
pushing and
We're all
everyone's
pushing the
drinking.
bus. Yeah.
Look it up. Can we edit a photo of what that is?
Yeah.
We'll put it on the
Insert
Instagram.
image of people cycling on a bus and they all like drink alcohol because that's more fun.
For those who are just listeners and not viewers, it'll be on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Can we do it?
I want
Queerie team
Yep,
takes the
absolutely.
bike.
The Queerie field trip.
The
Yeah.
I'm down.
the bike
I'm
bus.
down. Since you're a listener of the podcast.
I am. I love the Queerie. Can I do a quick ad?
Do it. Do it.
I'm Beverly Kills and I endorse the Queerie. You should listen to it, and if you don't,
You're homophobic.
that's bad. Yeah.
And we're not even paying.
You hate gays. Watch it. It's good. Good content.
That was good. We'll put that on the Insta.
It's not good.
As you know then, Amber's spoken about her experience with religion and how it's affected her and her process of coming out and being in like the queer space. Do you see religion as a beneficial aspect to the queer community or a hindrance?
I don't know. Like every now and then I will come across a queer person who has religious faith or like still believes in, sorry, I shouldn't say still believes, that believes in a God or has a faith, sometimes faiths that I've never heard of as well, or sometimes very, very common faiths. And every now and then that will blow my mind because to me, at least from what I know, the queer experience is you get raised in a religious household and then by the time you turn like 17, 18, you start questioning the world and then you reject it because you're not about hate, you're about love. But the more I've learned about religion, especially being an adult now, is that so many people have found religion and it's actually helped them find the love that they need. And to me, that has just completely blown my mind.
That's so interesting. I've never heard of it in that way, and that is crazy.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, when I like first like moved out of home and like I graduated school and I moved out of home and I started being like a functioning adult, I would be like, fuck religion, like I don't agree with it, yada yada. And the more I sort of like met people and expanded my mindset as an adult, I was like, oh shit, like religion's very well and alive, and people are in it by choice. Yeah. It's not just me who experiences these feelings. People have different experiences of religion up until the day they die. It's not a thing you reject at 18 like I thought everyone else did.
Yeah.
I've just kept away from it and it has made my life better.
Oh, yeah.
I've steered away from religion and I'm much happier without it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's good to understand.
Totally, but people have gone to religion and makes them happier.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, well, whatever floats
If it makes you
boat,
happy and you're not
whatever
being a
floats
dick to
your
me,
arc,
then
religion.
fine.
But
Bible reference.
yeah, I did go to Catholic school for 13 years. Can I say I was so gay in Catholic school. When I applied for school captain, they were like, oh, like, can't really give it to you. But that wasn't an issue. I sort of knew that going in.
But also no, it is an issue.
No. It was a very known and like accepted fact. I don't think they did it out of means of discrimination. They did it out of means of making sure that they were having the right people represent the school in a way that was visible
God
to the
honoring.
church. Visible to the church.
Because they have to keep that.
Yeah, but I still got given my title when I applied for school captain, and they gave me spiritual captain.
Wait, I feel like you came out on top.
Like,
That's so good.
Just say poof, like just say fat, like, and I was like, and then I was like, spiritual captain.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so much better than school captain.
I know.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was like my like high school experience, and I was like, okay, and I kind of like through that process, I actually did find a bit of faith, and it was funny because I was like raised in religion, didn't really understand to question it, and then rejected it as maybe like a 14, 15-year-old. And then as like a 16, 17-year-old, I actually went back to religion.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
A lot of gay people have a renaissance. Beyonce's new album coming out in a couple of months. A lot of people have a renaissance with religion where they come back to it and they go, is this for me? And they either stay or they leave.
Yep.
I
Really?
left, but
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
You've,
I think a lot of
literally
queer
just-
people. Do you know what I mean?
I was just going to say it's such a journey where you grow up in this thing and it is all you ever know. So how do you learn to question that? Because it is all you've ever known from a child. It's like being taught to walk or to speak. It is all you have ever known is this is how the world is. And you go through that because, you get your parents say that this is the way it is, and you go through that until you get to an age where you go, actually, not too sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. I've heard this from school and they've said that, and that makes actually more sense to me. And so then you go along this path of that for a while, but then you kind of look back and you're like, but wait a second, me going through this is saying that everything I've ever learnt is wrong. So maybe I need to actually do both, or like maybe I need to come back to this for a second and make sure actually this isn't right. And I was the same. I got to that point and went, definitely not for me. I'm good. And I've moved away from it too. And like my parents are still super religious. They go to church twice a week. And my older sister still goes, I think. But me and my other sister have mostly sort of steered away from it just because it's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah,
Doesn't make me...
Has it been related to the fact that you are queer?
Yes. I think a lot of it stemmed from that when I was way back in high school and I was like, I'm an ally. I'm an ally for the queer community.
Yeah.
I kept saying, I would have arguments with my dad, but I was in this stage where I would be like, my God doesn't hate gay people. My God wants you to be whoever you are. Like if God put me on earth as a queer person, he put me here. Why would he put me on earth and be like, actually, I hate you.
Yeah.
And you're going to burn in hell. Like I went through this stage of like, my God wouldn't do that. And then I just kind of was like, actually, I just learned about more things and like the universe and spirituality and all these other things that weren't organized religion. And I think that's where I sort of steered to. I didn't like the politics and the hierarchy and the organization of faith. I was like, I don't like that I have to follow rules of what I believe. I want to believe what I believe.
Yeah.
And then I kind of veered off and to whatever else I believe in now, which is a question mark. I don't really know. Just
I don't think you have to know.
it is.
You
Yeah.
don't have to know. I think the one thing that everyone has in their life is that everyone has something that they worship. Everyone has their own form of religion. It just doesn't or does may or may not have a name to it. Because when I sort of left religion a second time, I found drag, and that has just sort of replaced.
Drag is your religion.
Drag is now my religion, and it's just sort of replaced it. It's just not called religion. It's just what I do. It's just what I'm passionate about. I think as well,
Like your lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a
I guess religion for so many people
lifestyle.
is a lifestyle.
Yeah. People like, I'm going to counterpoint everyone's argument. Being gay is absolutely a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle and it's an expensive lifestyle. And there is glitter in like the edges of all your carpets.
Nice.
And you know, everyone's body standards are different when you're gay, but I love this lifestyle.
That's what matters.
I feel like I sort of found religion again because I sort of like, when I became an adult, I became very conscious of, it was a very like existential fear of life.
Yes.
And then I found religion. I'm like, oh, thank God, calm myself down. Like there's a bit more comforting. And then I found drag and I was like, it's just as comforting, but it's more fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go there and I can drink at that church. Fierce.
I can get fucked up.
Mine was...
They have vodka Red Bulls there.
That's what,
Good.
That's what matters.
It's the vodka Red Bulls. Yeah.
Although the church has wine.
Mine
Yeah,
didn't.
but the Wickham has like aioli peri peri chips.
Yeah. You know,
And
I
pineapple
think I know the
soda.
winner there. Pineapple soda.
Have you had the pineapple soda at the Wickham?
Oh, bitch. No, I need to get one.
So we've seen some interesting pushes in the US.
Sorry. I'm just
This is a
being horrible to
serious
the sound
topic.
producer.
Oh, that was a bad one too.
It's a bad one.
So we've seen some interesting pushes for banning drag shows for minors in the US. What are your thoughts on this? Please do tell.
It's
Baffling.
it's beyond. It is beyond ridiculous. Like,
Can we give insight into it? So what's happening? What's the...
context is state of Texas has proposed, not passed, but proposed a bill. I don't know from what party. I'm assuming it's the Republican Party.
Texans fucking suck.
There has
No
been
offense,
a bill
Texans.
proposed to. It's like, it's very specific. It's to not allow a family-friendly drag event. Like drag is allowed, but with no family-friendly. So no drag queen story time, no publicly available pride events. Like drag queens can't be visible in public. Is sort of what they're trying to like push
I
for.
didn't know
God.
that that's what it was.
What did you think it was?
I just thought it was like
Banning
18 plus
children from
only.
going to
No
drag
children
shows.
can go to things. I didn't realize they were banning children-friendly stuff.
No. Yeah. Like you cannot have a drag queen and a child be in the same room from like for an event.
Wow.
Like, you can't. Yeah. No drag queen story time. None of that.
That's...
What the...
Why?
Well, children aren't allowed in 18 plus venues anyway.
Which I
For
understand.
good reason.
Yeah, of course,
Totally.
of course.
But in a library, it's a bit different.
Yeah. No.
The
Because
Nina Wests of the world that are actually making really good change for children
To be able to see that and be aware.
Yeah,
of.
be exposed to the queer community from a young age, which I know for a fact I would have benefited from.
Oh my
It
God,
is
same. Yeah,
crazy to
have
think-
seen it. I would-
But Texas is just when we're talking about religion, like it's the Bible Belt, right? Like it's
Yeah.
the whole.
It is.
They just want to keep that. They're very conservative, which I'm not saying is good at all. But I'm not surprised that a ban like that
It's
is
insane.
happening.
But
But it's
it's-
like the abortion.
Personally, yeah, it's very interesting though
happening?
that they aren't bringing out bills to protect children in schools with gun control, but they are protecting children from drag performers.
Yeah, it just was dreadful timing considering there was a mass shooting involving exclusively children.
Yes. Which is
and
horrible.
RuPaul said it best. I think he said it on Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, one of the Jimmys, saying like he's like, this is just the biggest distraction from like the most horrible
Yeah.
debate.
Yeah.
And you're using drag queens. And RuPaul was like, not my fucking drag queens. You're not using them. And I agree. Like it's sad. It's very sad.
It is sad.
Frustrates me.
Well, that's your art form.
It's
as
almost
well.
like it's almost disappointed but not surprised. Is how I feel.
Yes and yes. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. I can't even articulate like what I'm thinking in my head, and it is just pure rage at this point because I don't take it personally. I do not consider myself a family-friendly drag queen, and I know that, and I understand that, but
they do exist.
I, as a child, would absolutely love to have seen a family-friendly drag queen. It's frustrating to me as well that it comes down to a conservative's idea of someone's gender, and that is enough to deter them from adding to their child's like enrichment. People have all the time, like you were having a fairy princess party for our 5-year-old daughter, and we have like a person and they come and they're dressed up as a fairy.
Or Snow White or Rapunzel or
They are
whoever.
Basically drag queens. Sorry, they are drag queens. Like they're putting on wigs, makeup, and lashes. So
And pretending to be someone else.
It is the conservatives'
extent.
mindset and the conservative obsession of what is between someone's legs, and that is all it's really brought to, really. Because if it was like fairy princess story time, I don't think we'd be having this issue.
That's the underlying issue there.
No, yeah, and it's confusing and it's frustrating that the conservative mindset is that like, oh, you know, people are always about labels and it's confusing to children. And I'm like, you're the one that's obsessed with the labels, Miss Ma'am. Like,
Yeah.
like that is confusing to children to say like, oh, like this fairy princess, you can't enjoy their story time because they have a penis.
But you
That's-
wouldn't even know about. Like,
Why does the child need to know?
Yeah, like,
it's a child.
they
That's
are the
fucking them
If
up.
anything, the innocence should be like you are taking their innocence away from
Yeah.
them by allowing that.
I was
That's
just gonna say
insane.
they are the ones making it sexual or
Yes.
making it about genitalia by having that conversation. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be that. Children don't know.
No,
they don't
they
know.
Yeah,
don't.
they don't know. They don't care.
They don't know. They don't care. They're a child. They don't have that part of their brain that's developed
Yeah.
to understand that.
And
yet.
it comes back to literally what I was just saying before
No.
about when you are brought up a way, it is all you know. And if that is all they know, they don't care.
And I'll
Like,
say as well, I will say I use the word penis, but I'm not saying that like only men are drag queens. But unfortunately, the conservative mindset is
That's
that
what-
only men are
is-
drag
yeah.
queens. So that's why it's frustrating because you don't have the fairy princess parties being banned. I don't know. It's
Do you
frustrating.
think what fuels your passion for it is like you would have loved to see that as a
Fuck
kid?
yes.
You just
Are
think,
you
why are we
kidding?
still
Yeah.
making this a thing now?
Are you kidding? Oh my God, yeah. Like, my coming out process was pretty great. There are thousands of people who have a very different story to me. And that is who I'm angry for. That's who I'm really, really angry for.
Yeah, it's not even for yourself. It's not like, fuck you, I can't perform.
No,
it's
it's
these
not.
children.
that are missing out. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
It's making it such a political issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a fabulous, like, it's not news, but it was like some Twitter statement, but it was correct. It was like number of children harmed in mass shootings, this many. Number of children molested or harmed in churches, this many. Number of children molested and harmed at drag shows, 0. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're like, that's
Actually,
Look at
quite
what we're
true.
that's really
doing
interesting how
all
that
the problems
works.
on.
Like,
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
yeah, and I'm like, well, you know, if you look at statistically, But I don't think it's just, I don't think the USA is, unfortunately. I don't think it runs like
They
that.
ain't looking at statistics.
No,
They're
no,
looking
no,
at
no.
They're looking at the word of
religion
God.
and
Yeah.
and I mean, specifically in those areas, like in Texas, like it's just.
They're
We're
literal.
trying to make a giant conversation. We're trying to make this giant topic into like a quick 5-minute conversation. There's
Yeah.
obviously like a lot of nuance missing.
Correct.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm really angry, and
Overall,
it is,
it's fucked up.
ridiculous.
It is.
I will happily debate at length with any person who disagrees because I can usually be like, oh, I can understand why you think this. I can understand maybe a conservative mindset of this part of legislation. This is like the one thing where I'm like, this makes
It
zero
literally
sense to
doesn't
me.
make sense.
It makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes 0 sense to me. I don't know if you know this, but in Brisbane, I believe before COVID, it was before COVID, an amazing Southeast Queensland performer, Diamond Goodrum, she had a drag queen story time. She was just pleasantly reading to children, and it was protested. People came and they crashed the drag queen story time and scared the kids. So while Diamond's just being the amazing person she is, reading to children, it was what is it when you go somewhere and you interrupt it? Like gate crashed by protesters.
And what's the harmful thing there?
Yeah, I'm like, well, the children are going to be traumatized by one part of that day, and it's not the drag queen reading the Hungry Caterpillar. Like, it's really frustrating.
That's insane.
It's really frustrating. That story,
just disappointing.
If you don't know the story, like, look more into it. There's a quite sad ending, which you won't go into on the podcast, but like, it ends dreadfully, and that sad ending is again proving my point that queer kids need queer representation. Otherwise, they go down a path that is the opposite of positive, fun, and happy. You get one life. Like, I don't understand why you'd be like wanting to lead it with hate and anger. Like, it just seems like
a waste of time.
Yeah, what a waste of time. Like, this is your one life. Like,
Yeah.
why would you waste it?
Being so angry, just
like-
so angry.
That's so well
Don't
put.
be pressed.
That
I'm
is
like, I'm
so
trying to
well
have a
put.
party.
Yeah.
And
trying
like,
to
if
just
the
live
kids
my
want to have a nice
freaking
time watching the
life.
drag queen, let them watch the drag queen.
Yeah.
I will say
Literally.
this isn't an ad for you to tell me to come to your local library and read to the children because I don't want to. I don't want to see a child. But there are plenty of drag queens that are
That do.
more than happy to add to the enrichment of these like amazing kids that are our
yes.
future.
And it's not even just like ignorance. Like, it would help actual queer children to sit there and go, I'm not alone. And I didn't have that moment until I was 20,
And a lot of people don't, right?
21 years
Totally.
old.
When you can
where
go out
I,
into that scene and you can see
I
that. Like,
watched-
didn't you have that when you're younger?
I watched
Yeah.
Drag Race and I went to a queer space and went, oh, I'm not an ally. These are my people. This makes sense. Yeah, I am a queer. And if we can do that for children when they're 5 years old or younger or whenever, it just makes their whole life so much easier because they know their place.
Yeah.
They don't have to spend 20 years of their life going, where do I fit in? I actually don't know because I haven't been exposed to this area of the world. Like,
Let drag story time happen.
Yeah,
This is the
it's-
protest.
It is frustrating. I think the main thing as well is that what people are forgetting is that it is just homophobia disguised as trying to protect children.
Period.
People will always go to think of the children, even in gay marriage. They're like, but what about like if they want to have kids? And I'm like, okay, and I'm like, but we're talking about marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have kids got to do with this?
yeah.
Anyway,
Those are just so intertwined. It's like you get married, you have kids.
Then like you need like a positive role model of both parents. I'm like, some kids don't even have one or either. So I'm like,
But
And
also, what
also-
an insult to like women who just can't have, was that what you were going to say? Who
Yes.
just can't have kids. Like, what if I got married and I just didn't want to fucking have a child because I want money? I want to go travel. Like,
Yeah, or you...
no one people do question that, but no one questions it as much as they do in like, queer relationships.
as well recently, what was the other thing the conservatives were mad about? Lightyear, the new Buzz Lightyear film from
Because
Disney.
there's
It got
same-sex
banned
kiss.
in China
Is there
and stuff.
same-sex kiss between two women?
Two women.
I believe.
Yeah, and it's
So
a second.
Yeah, and it's like from what I've read, I haven't seen the film. From what I've read, it's just like it's a minor, like not even part of the plot. It's just
No.
like a brief, like I don't know.
a peck.
It's a brief part of the plot. Doesn't really matter. And some people are like, oh, like they're shoving it down our throat. But I'm like, to conservatives, gay people kissing is worse than like a straight couple like having full frontal sex
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
But
and
also-
I'm
Absolutely
like,
it
I
is.
can think of one thing that is more harmful to children, and it's not the two
a little-
wives
Can
having
we
a kid
kiss?
pet. Like what?
Yeah, but can we also talk about Sleeping Beauty, which is a consensual
Yes.
kiss where he kisses a passed
Also,
out woman.
bestiality.
Like,
Yeah,
hello.
Beauty and the Beast.
like there's so
Fucked
many
up.
other Disney films that are promoting so many, like so much worse than a same-sex kiss.
No, but that's
That,
two.
like-
That's a woman and a man. It doesn't matter. It's just
Disgusting.
fucking ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't understand. I've genuinely, I think to protect myself, I've never sat down with like a person who is against that sort of thing and like tried to understand it.
Oh, it's my dad. Hi.
I'll chat with him. I'll have a chat with him. But like it's I've just never tried. I've never had the energy to sit down with someone, and I kind of want to, but
I think-
unfortunately, they are under the impression that they are under attack. So
Yes.
they don't bring up their opinions in front of other
No.
people. They bring it up online.
Absolutely.
When I was in university, like I went to a like kind of conservative university, and it would be funny because like I would talk about my experience. I wouldn't bring up being gay, but I brought up being in a gay club, and no one said anything in person. But then on our like Slack chat, I had a very snide comment that what I brought up was inappropriate, and I was like, oh,
Interesting.
yeah. And I was
Why
like,
don't you have the guts to tell me in person?
I think it's because they are under the impression that they are being like edged out of society, which I don't think is true. I'm happy to embrace everyone in society, but like,
That's
oh,
kind of
I don't. I
I'm
don't.
just
I'm
gonna
happy to embrace most stable-minded people in society.
Well, we talked about that with Erica. We had a guest on, and they were saying about like game culture and how a lot of like cis het white men feel like they're being pushed out of their culture that they've had for so long because like queer games are coming in.
Oh my God,
and it's
I
like
hate to
you
be
can
pushed out of a
actually
culture. That would be really
have,
bad.
yeah, you can
That would be
actually
so
have
bad.
both. You know, you don't. It's not pushing one thing out just because you're living your life the way you want to.
Yeah, there's room for everyone.
And it was never a straight club. Like there's no definition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just because that's the traditional, you know,
And I think Erica also talked about
being around for so long doesn't mean anything.
Erica also talked about the left-handed thing and how being left-handed people, like children used to get it beaten out of them. You weren't supposed to be left-handed. You had to write with your right hand. And when those rules went away, the statistics like skyrocketed
Yeah.
for left-handed people. And they were like, there's so many of them. And then it plateaued and it kind of just is what it is now. And that is the same for trans, I think they said trans people. Where this statistic,
Oh, like there's like a correlation in
has,
like a
has skyrocketed, but eventually it's just going to plateau because these people always existed.
Yeah, totally.
They just were shunned or killed horribly,
I
know.
love like gay history. Not like obviously I love modern gay history, especially during Pride Month. Like I always learn something new
Period.
about like Pride in the past 100 years. But like when I was in university, one of my subjects was like journalism throughout the ages, and it goes back to like the year 500.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I was learning about like queer icons throughout history, like Alexander the Great. Power bottom. Love it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
Love.
What's your opinion on, when people like conservative people, I guess, say like, oh, the only reason that there's so many transgender people and gay people now is because it's like a woke culture. Because
yeah,
I
like
guess
woke culture, like culture.
they say people
yeah.
only do this because it's cool to be that.
It's very cool to be gay.
It is.
I will
Join the
say-
club.
I will say, I am very cool. When I walk through Fortitude Valley in full drag, I'm the coolest bitch on that fucking strip.
Because I
It's-
guess that's the whole thing. Like, is it
I have
statistics?
I don't think I have.
Because you've
I don't
been-
think I have sympathy to it because I did spend so long on the outer. So now that I have found a place where I'm celebrated, I'm like, okay, well, not my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. it
So
is.
on that, what would your advice be for anyone thinking of getting into drag?
Oh my god, don't.
What's the best piece of advice that you've received from a fellow queen? To
My
follow that
advice
up?
to everyone else is do not get in drag. There's enough drag queens. I need the work. Don't take my work.
Don't
love that.
take my
Every
gigs.
now and then someone's like, I'm thinking of starting drag. And I'm like,
Don't.
and I just make up.
It's really expensive.
And I'll just make up like insane rumors to
Yeah.
stop them from doing drag. First question was people getting into drag.
Yeah, what would your
Your
advice
Oh my
be?
god, I get asked this all the time. Like every single fucking comment on TikTok, people come into my DMs just being like, I want to start drag. How do I start? And I'm like, drag is a very, very specific sport and art form.
Not a contact sport though.
It's not a contact
Mimi.
sport. Oh, she's watched Drag Race. It is a very specific sport and art form. And if you are scared of doing it, it is already not for you.
Okay, period. I like that.
I say that with only love for drag because drag is my life, and it is now, as we spoke about before, drag is now my religion. So I would say that people wanting to do drag, if you have something inside of you that says, I have a higher power in myself that I can only reach by making a new part of myself that my day-to-day persona can't be, then you've absolutely got that. And every now and then you can sort of clock. Every single year there's new drag queens that come through. I've been that drag queen. Everyone's been that new drag queen. But every year there's a new drag queens, and some of them they do it for 6 months and they drop off. But you can tell when you look them in the eyes that they've got this, like, they've got the thing.
Yeah.
And you've either got it or you don't. And seeing new drag of new performers, queens, kings, even like non-gender drag, which is really exciting. When you look at them in the eyes and you talk about drag and you can see that they've just got it, that is so exciting. So if you know you've got it, flaunt it. If you know that you've got the thing, if you know you've got the drag brain, don't do us a disservice and hide your talent, because we all want to see it.
Yeah.
We all want to see your drag.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you wanna slay. Oh, nice. So
Ella's like cringing.
Let the slay.
Slay. So who in the drag community, locally, globally, worldwide, around the world, inspires you?
I think that worldwide queens get enough recognition as it is. I'll give back to the local girls. I started drag because I watched Slaying Mantis win the Starlet finale in 2019.
Period.
I watched the Slaying Mantis and I was like, I want to do that.
Nice.
So the Slaying Mantis to me is like the blueprint of like a really cool drag artist.
What's their kind of vibe?
Ooky spooky, but also sexy.
And also,
which Beverly Kills is definitely on that.
Yeah,
level.
you've definitely taken
Ooky
that on
spooky,
with like
sexy.
the...
Yeah.
Yeah, choreography, dancer, trained dancer. I'm pretty sure.
Not a trained dancer.
No,
They're
no,
a trained dancer.
Mantis is a trained dancer.
Making about myself, lol. Not a trained dancer. Yeah, for me, like the Slaying Mantis. I remember watching my first like over 18 drag show I saw was actually at Fluffy, which is ironic because I now work there. Volley Bomb was hosting, and again, going back to that thing, she was just the most electrifying host, and like most people have probably seen in Brisbane have seen Volley host, and her microphone skills are unmatched. Like she just has this energy that commands every single person in the room, and you can't teach that. Volley just has it, and she's got it, and I'm jealous of the bitch because she does.
Volley was the first queen that I ever saw perform in Melbourne.
Volley was in Melbourne. What's she doing in Melbourne?
She was hosting a show, like a tour, one of the...
Yes, like a drag fest or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Cool.
And it
and
was
again,
so good.
Commands the entire room in 0.5 seconds.
Incredible.
Imagine
Incredible.
having that skill. That's
She's
so cool.
very
but
good.
she's absolutely like worked on that because she's very good. I'm just like blowing steam up Volley's ass now. Hi, girl. But she's absolutely cultivated that skill as a businesswoman, an artist, a comedian. Like she's just done all these things to get her to that point, and
awesome.
I really look up to her for it.
Yeah.
And that same night, I also saw Luna Thick's debut at Fluffy as well.
Stop.
Yeah.
That is
now
so
again,
cool.
I run it because then I got to share my debut with her, and it's all a big full circle moment.
I love that.
But I hadn't even started drag yet, and I was like watching it, and it was Luna Thick, Crimson Coco, and Evangeline. They were doing Thick Shake, which is like their
We
hip-hop
just
group.
saw them all at Rhythmology the
Oh,
other night.
Rhythmology was
So
amazing.
good.
If you missed tickets to Rhythmology, you're a pleb.
Yeah, now it's closed, so you can't.
Yeah, I think they do it once every 6 months, but I
really?
can't confirm that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I saw Luna Thick and just was like, because again,
Everything.
my idea of drag was just from what I saw on TV.
Yeah.
And then I got to see Thick Shake, and I was like,
Oh my God.
this is drag? And I was like, I guess it is drag.
Thick
and then by
Shake?
the end of the show, I was like, whoa, that's that's drag.
I am obsessed with Thick Shake. There was a moment in time where I was going to be a queen. I never did anything about it, but I grew up a dancer, so trained dancer, competitively danced.
Wait, you were going to be a drag queen?
Yeah.
That-
I thought
you
about
can-
it.
So cool.
I
You
thought
can
about it
still
for a
do
long
that.
time because
I would like to see it.
Please do it.
I can't sing. I'm not a singer, but I competitively dance for...
And that's a shame because every drag queen is such a good singer.
Well, no, I just meant like I've always wanted to perform and I couldn't do it vocally. But I danced my whole life competitively. Almost my whole life. I stopped when I graduated high school, so a little while ago now. And I watched Thick Shake and I went,
oh shit.
Oh, so there are dances. Cool.
That's so cool.
And then I just thought about it and was like, like it was that moment of like, if you're too scared to do it, it's not for you. And I think I
fuck yeah.
Yeah, I had that moment of like,
They have that unmatched confidence.
Yeah.
Like, "Wee!"
I am too scared to do this, and I just don't think
I will
could.
watch.
Yeah, I will sit here and
But
watch
you can
and
learn the confidence,
hoot and
like-
holler.
You do
But-
know that this is a series of you becoming a drag queen.
I think it should
The
be.
Queerie is an accidental
Hey,
anthology
guys.
series of you turning into a
Hey
drag
guys.
queen.
I'm so
She thought she was an ally and she was a queer. And then she thought she was an audience member, but she was actually the queen.
Every single drag queen has had that storyline. Every single drag queen was a patron first.
Interesting.
There was no drag queen that just became a drag queen and was never an audience
Yeah, you
member.
have to be watching.
Yeah.
Other queens I look up to. I look up to a lot of the queens where they do things that I could never do. So like the comedy queens and the mixed queen. When I say mixed queens, like they make their performance is like the comedy act. So like friend of the pod, Lula Muns. I think BB Gunn is one of the funniest people in the world and also like a top tier human. Recently featured on, I think, NRMA Insurance's Instagram page. Yeah, it was very fierce. I was like, go BB. Yeah, because she did she like helped all these queens and like queer artists pay their bills over
pay the bills.
COVID.
Yeah,
it was so fierce.
I
I saw it and I was like, I'm finally getting the recognition she deserves. Maybe
Yes.
about a year and a half too late, but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like Lulu, BB, Volley, Mandy's Patience on the Sewing Machine is something I like cannot get enough of. Mandy Moobs.
Such a Mandy Moob stan.
I hope
like,
we're putting
it's
the Instagram handles
ridiculous.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Yes.
the biggest Mandy Moob stan. Where I feel like I've gone to a lot of shows and it's gotten to the point where I'm quite friendly with a lot of the queens. And so when I watch them, I'm like, yes, that's my friend, or like, you know, whatever. But when I go to a Mandy Moob show, I'm like, oh my God, it's Mandy! And I still like have that like
Iconic.
exciting like fangirl moment when I see her because I love her so much.
Yeah.
So good.
Mandy's sort of turned into like an accidental mentor for me, and she would hate to
love
admit that. She's gonna watch this back and be like, "I'm not your fucking mentor. Fuck off, you like,
Fuck off.
you fucking loser." But she has, and I tell
That's
her
cute.
all the time, and
Yeah.
she's a great.
I
She's
feel, what number episode are we up to?
I don't know.
Do we-
6?
This is 6.
What?
Oh my
Six.
God, we love an
Episode six.
expert of the pod.
That is,
Am I right?
I feel like 6 for 6 episodes of mentioning Mandy Moobs.
Has she been mentioned?
And
in
or
everyone?
the
Yeah,
hummingbird.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot of hummingbird.
Yeah,
Literally
we love the
every, I think
hummingbird.
literally every episode
Yeah.
that I love.
People love
Who else?
you.
I could just list like every drag queen that I love in Brisbane. The first one that comes to mind that I haven't mentioned is Scarlet Fever.
yes.
Electrifying entertainer, so funny.
Excellent.
Queen of the makeup brush, love her. There's just too many coming to mind, and I feel like people are just gonna start getting offended if I don't.
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, you can't
So
do
I'm
too
gonna
many. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that,
Well-
and if I say any more, then
We can segue from this discussion into what makes you most proud to be queer.
I would dare say that I don't think I'm very. My pride in myself as a drag queen does not come from being queer. It comes from being myself. Like I feel like my connection to like my queerness is natural. And what I mean by that is like I'm not saying that someone else's is like fake, but I do drag because to me that's like my resting state.
Sure.
Like I went away to Canada for a few weeks with my partner for his brother's wedding, and when I got back I was like, I need to get into drag. I don't care if I'm paid to do it or not. I need to get into drag right now. And the second I got to sit down for the gig, I was like, cool. That was a moment there where I was like, okay, I'm doing the right job. This is the place I'm meant to be. So my pride in that sort of comes from like just knowing that, you know, I'm just doing me.
Gorgeous.
Oh,
I feel
cool.
like
Did I just finish the podcast?
I feel like
Well. We're going to ask you if you have anything to plug, any, shows, events, things coming up.
Yeah, totally. When's this getting released? Sunday?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Fluffy is every week at Cloudland. It is
It's the religion. It's the church.
that is gay church. It is where myself, Volley Levant, Scarlet Fever, Lunatic, Mandy Moobs, and our fabulous dancers Nick, Jared, and Ashley all come together
Whoa,
to
that was-
do
how many times
gay
have you said that?
shit. A lot of times. Every single Sunday at Cloudland. The event is called Fluffy. Shows are from 9:30 with doors at 8 o'clock. Produced by DJ Harry K. It's a fabulous event. We just, again, if you are a gay person or an ally, you are welcome to come and
It's very
enjoy. I'm just maybe follow the Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instagram's at the Beverly Kills. I've never
many
got
things
to.
happening on the
I've never got to be on a
Insta.
podcast and plug my social media.
You've lost your podcast virginity.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I remember my first
You might be on
time.
Instagram at the Beverly Kills. It's at thebeverlykills.com.au, and we've also got .au, just thebeverlykills.com. Email is hello@thebeverlykills if you want to book me
Yeah,
I love
to
it.
perform
Book
at your
her.
birthday, wedding, or funeral.
My funeral, please.
Oh my God, I can talk about this. I'll ask them and make sure we can include this.
Yep.
I made a joke like a year ago being like, book me, here's my email. Birthdays, weddings and funerals, lol. And then I got a message a few days ago from someone who has I don't want to say the incorrect thing, but I believe a form of terminal illness, so they have treatment a lot for their illness. And they said, I don't know what life has in store for me. Would you do me the honor of performing at my funeral? And I was like, and they don't know when it is. Like they have a life expectancy that is a giant question mark. But they were like, would you perform my funeral? And I was like, can I turn it into a roast?
Oh, yeah.
And they said yes. So I was like, perfect. And I was like,
love.
you know the episode of Drag Race where
Lady Bunny's
in the
roast.
casket? And I was like,
She
can I
is
do
a
a roast? And they said, fuck yeah. And I was like,
That is the best thing
So
I've ever
good.
heard.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, I've really just lived up to the name and the branding.
Wait, if I
like,
die tomorrow, can you do that for me, please?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
Thanks.
like,
Only if you die tomorrow, though.
Only tomorrow, not the next
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Not the next
it'll
day.
be convenient. I'll do like
Keep my schedule free.
Free.
a jump split from the open casket onto the ground. Yeah.
Not the open casket.
Not the open.
Period. I'll do your makeup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, do full drag.
What do they call it? Cosmetology when you...
No.
No, they're like people who do it.
I know what you're talking about. It's not cosmetology. That's just normal makeup. Mortician. Mortician. No. Not a mortician. Mortician's not a makeup.
No, a mortician is...
I'm thinking of a morgue. I'm thinking
We'll
of a
figure
morgue.
it out. We'll figure it out.
I'm thinking
Okay.
of a morgue. Okay, we're good. Mortician it is. Anyway.
Morticia Adams is beautiful and she's undead. It's a mortician.
Morticia
Yes.
Adams.
Oh, that's
Morticia
good.
Adams. Because
I'm just like, cheers.
This podcast has gone on too long. Oh, we can do cheers.
Morticia Adams.
For too long.
Okay,
We're going crazy.
so that brings us...
There's no alcohol left in that glass.
There's
Nothing.
There is nothing.
There's a droplet.
Do
Okay, say
we...
it.
So we've come to the end. This is the end of the pod.
Oh, no.
Thank
so
you so much
sad.
for coming on to
Yes.
the
Thank you for
pod.
having me. Thank you for letting me come on as
It
well.
has
Thank you
been
for letting us take
actually
your
so much
virginity.
fun. Your podcast
It's
virginity.
been the best.
Do you know who the next guest is? Because maybe I can like plug them.
We do, but it's a secret squirrel.
it a
Okay,
secret?
secret squirrel.
Yeah, well, I think it is.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, secret
Yeah,
for the,
it's
for the
a
listeners.
secret.
We'll tell you after.
Well,
Secret
yeah,
for the
we've got a
listeners.
few lined up.
They can plug
actually.
themselves when they're here.
Yeah, they will. They'll just promote themselves. That's all good. What?
Gorgeous.
How does
Okay,
the cheers
clink.
go?
Let's do a clink. We just do a
Okay.
clink.
Oh, thanks for watching.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.